Hi, my name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. Have you ever wondered how faith actually works in modern life, in modern society? Faith is one of those things that can be ridiculed by certain people. And to adopt it with a modern mindset, with a modern philosophy, with modern thinking is a challenge in today's world. Have you ever struggled with fitting it in? I know my struggles have been throughout over a decade, spanning on how to understand this concept of faith. Being raised a Catholic person, or a Catholic boy, I was even an altar boy, did my first communion in Catholic church and all that. It was heartbreaking to struggle with atheism, agnosticism, and then some of the stuff that the church was ridiculed for, and some of the stuff was, I won't even go into what, but some of the stuff was rightfully earned ridicule by the Catholic Church. So my struggles with faith have been, you could say, warranted or validated by the doubts and the questions and the critics. So what have I done in order to do this? Okay, well, the critics started when I was in my teenage years, and as time went on, I eventually became agnostic and atheist, and I searched for I studied and looked at different religions, whether it was Kabbalah or atheism or things that I'm less proud of, in the sense that religions that were, you could even say, not so, of the white light, or of the higher levels of thinking, I struggle with these doubts deeply, is what I'm saying. And so to be at the stage where I'm at now, where I am fully aware of where I am with my faith, and I call myself a Catholic yogi. And I do that because my mom raised me as a Catholic, and I don't wish to, shun that idea away. I don't wish to push that aside. I think it's a good anchor in my life. And also I'm a yogi because I've studied the meditation writings of Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, and I have found them to be uplifting and help me work through some of the stuff inwardly, inner stuff, I think, so for me currently, if I go sit in a Catholic church, for example, sometimes I might have a great experience, or sometimes it could be sort of, monotonous, to be quite honest with you. But the meditation, because it's a relationship with myself and a relationship with God within, it's far more rewarding. And this continual relationship takes faith to develop. And in today's world, where faith is considered, questionable, like, should we have faith, should we not? I could tell you that in today's world, it becomes so essential to actually achieve something. And at the higher levels, faith becomes a necessity. Not only something that's cute or nice or whatever, but as Jesus said, to move, you could, with faith the size of a mustard seed, you could move a mountain. And so in today's world, faith becomes essential. And to understand it and embrace it and work with it at whatever level you have. I know some people would say, well, how do you explain faith? It's going to be for everybody a little different, in the sense that I can't tell you to not be Jewish, or I can't tell you to not be Catholic, or I can't tell you to not be this, or I'm not trying to tell you to be anything, as much as be your best self. And at some level, I'm sure that's going to require a level of faith, is what I'm getting at. And without that element, you're not going to be able to tap into the higher levels of your understanding. Recently, I was able to pin gold, a gold pin with Advocare, and it was a leadership pin I've been wanting for a long time. And through this, I said, Lord, I'm going to give this to you, and you're going to help me with this, and I have faith it can happen, and it happened. And here we are, after the fact, the pin's being earned, and it was a lot of work. It really was. And that's actually why I haven't been online here to make another video, is because I was busy working on something else and doing something else and helping and training and just resting and staying up late. So my mind was everywhere. It just was everywhere. And through the faith, I was able to achieve a certain level of leadership. Even when I earned it, the night I earned it, I was watching The Young Pope, and it ended, and it was on faith, and I got my pin at that same time, and the show was ending, and it was like this beautiful moment, right? That I earned this pin while the show was going. The Young Pope, Jude Law was playing the Young Pope, and he was going into faith, and here I am earning this pin right at that same time, like synchronizing, and it was just this amazing feeling. Now, someone like yourself, maybe you could hear that and go, I get it, I know what he's talking about. And then some of you listening may say, yeah, I just can't process that. I can't believe that synchronicity. And the thing is, it's true. Like, it's not something that I'm making up. I mean, it's not to the second synchronized, but I'm talking 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's pretty much synchronized. And so I wanted to tell you that faith is pretty important in today's world. Okay? And, in the past, we did look at it sort of like, oh, that's just faith. I know that, in the years 2000s and the early 2000s and even the 90s, faith became under attack because of you could say the liberal media or science or evolution or all these things that challenged theology. And so in a way, we threw faith out with the bathwater, right? Faith was all part of that. And I'm saying even beyond the theology, faith is important. And yes, Jesus and any other spiritual teacher is part of faith. At the same time, they were more speaking of the truth of faith than faith belongs to them. Does that make sense? You don't necessarily have to embrace one of the teachers to embrace the teaching, is what I'm getting at. So the teachers are talking of the truth. The truth exists without the teacher. So this is what I'm getting at, that this is where faith is today. And understanding this is our current position as leaders, as an evolutionary species. Believe me, I've studied, like I said at the beginning, all types of teachings, whether it be evolutionary, Darwinism, atheism, agnosticism, Kabbalah, Christianity, fundamental Christianity, and several things. And I could tell you from my own findings, you could look at me then as a scientist, because I went through all that. And my current thesis, if that helps you, is that faith is so essential. Or if you look at me just like a devotee of anybody that is a devotee of God, then I'm just saying it's essential to our leadership, or to maximize your performance. And if you want to look at me as a coach and fitness leadership coach, which I am, then look at it just for what it is. The faith is essential for you to obtain your maximum performance. And this comes from people like Brendon Burchard as well, or anyone that maximizes their performance. So this is our current new position as a society in the leader field. So definitely look within yourself and see what faith means to you and apply it. That's going to be your best strategy as of now. What does it mean to you? And how can you start walking to that and developing your own understanding and implementation of faith in your life? I think the most common mistakes that people make with something like that is they assume that just it's something sacred and unique. I don't have a teacher that I turn to and he validates my faith. I have to validate my own faith, is what I'm saying. I think the Bible goes into that. It says, work out your own salvation. So at the highest level, you have to know exactly where you stand in your heart. And that is where you become a human. That's where you evolve, where you validate your own level of faith. So go ahead and begin that process and let me know. I'd love to hear what you think, whether it's praying a little more, meditating a little more, reading a little more theology books, going to church more. Do something, having a higher goal, and knowing and trusting within yourself that you can do it. I mean, the truth of the matter is that I'm sure that that's essential. And I'll keep this video short because I'm sure if you're watching this and this is essential, you have work to do. So I'm going to keep this video, cut it off right now. I'd love for you to subscribe. Let me hear what you're thinking. My number is 512-994-7328. This is Jacob Adams. We'll see you next time. Bye.